do you think happens when you have a medical solution that could save thousands of lives, but despite that evidence, the FDA won't approve it and Wall Street makes big bucks because it's rejected? Well, Dr. Joseph Gulfo says that nightmare scenario happened to him, and he's now chronicled his decade-long battle with the FDA and Wall Street in a new book called Innovation Breakdown: How the FDA and Wall Street Cripple Medical Advances. And Dr. Gulfo joins us now in our New York studios. It's good to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
So instead of shaking your hand, can I give you a fist bump?
Sure.
Good to have you here. You run biotech companies which develop products, hopefully, to save lives. Ultimately, you want those products approved by the FDA. How challenging is it to get that approval?
The drug development process, and for certain types of devices as well, and biotech products, is extremely difficult. The development process in the preclinical phases and all through the clinical phases, very, very hard. In fact, only 1 in 100 products that make it into the clinic actually get approved.
And how long a process would you say that takes?
10 to 15 years.
15 years?
Yes, 10 to 15
From
years.
the time a company comes up with an idea to the
Yes.
time it could actually bring it to market?
Yes.
Is that because the FDA puts roadblocks up for it, or just because certain testing needs to be established and statistics need to be recorded?
Definitely. The robust development is required. You need to show that you know how the product works. You need to show it's safe in animal models. You need to put it in the clinic and show you've gotten the right dose and that it does what you say it does with respect to the effectiveness or efficacy, and that it's safe. And no one in the drug development world has a problem with that. We need to prove drugs are safe and effective. It's very hard to do. It's also extremely time consuming, as we just talked about, and it's extremely costly. And when you put those three together, that means extremely unlikely. The reason I wrote the book is we've now moved from an extremely unlikely process to a near impossible process, because the FDA, which used to have a healthy skepticism that you had to overcome and you could overcome with data, has moved to basically an anti-innovation agenda, where the only thing that moves FDA beyond the slam dunks, beyond the obvious no-brainers, is media attention or congressional oversight.
When you say anti-innovation, do you think the FDA is deliberately putting up roadblocks as an overabundance of caution, or because they are so afraid that if they approve something and down the road it ends up not to be as effective as it predicted, it could get the blame?
That's exactly, you hit the nail on the head. It's fear. The FDA is afraid. No one ever got fired for saying no. And that's the problem. The FDA, the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act states that the FDA's mission is to promote health. Promote health through the efficient review of safety and effectiveness of new products. But if you go on the FDA website, they've changed that. They say their mission is to protect health. Now, protecting and promoting are two different things. It's like an attitude in baseball. If you're up at the plate and you're a hitter, your attitude is, I'm swinging unless it's a ball. And that's to me, that's promoting health. If you're a guy who's looking to walk, you say, I'm only going to swing if it's a strike. So the FDA doesn't mind walking. They don't mind moving it. Whereas I want to hit a home run.
Well, I was going to ask if that's what you hope to accomplish with writing this book. Are you essentially calling the FDA out? Do you really think that you will change decades of behavior on its part?
Yes, I do. Because when I first started in this industry, data moved the FDA. The FDA worked with companies. I was able to call the FDA and get my reviewer on the phone, discuss problems, discuss this, discuss that, and move things forward. And what I've learned now, my last 2 product approvals, where we hit every endpoint. Endpoint means you write down on a piece of paper exactly what you're going to show in your trial, okay? And I've done 2 in a row where we've hit every endpoint, primary, secondary, whatever, and we still had rejections by FDA that had to be overcome. So I've gone from a healthy skepticism from FDA to an absolute fear. FDA now regulates on a fear-based manner. And by the way, you know, there's 2 reasons driving it. There's an ideology that basically anything new is a potential problem, okay? Versus anything new could be a tremendous breakthrough.
You also talk in the book about Wall Street's role. What is it?
So what Wall Street does is they prey on little companies, because little companies need to raise money. They're the engines of innovation. That's where really breakthrough things happen. So in the natural development process, when things don't always go right, Wall Street has a very short holding period, and then they'll sell, and the stock will go down. It'll be difficult for the company to raise money. Then they prey on that's the natural vicissitudes. And then when FDA does what it does, Wall Street also does the same thing. And things like dark pool trading, shorting these small biotech company stocks, playing the deal, all these things really hurt innovation because it makes it difficult for companies to raise money.
And yet, are there products out there that the FDA is looking at and potentially approving?
Right, and I wrote this book because of that. It's not just what I've lived. So you have a drug for multiple sclerosis called Lemtrada. It's approved in Europe. It's a great drug. It actually was on the market here for a certain leukemia. The company pulled it to then get it approved for multiple sclerosis. FDA won't approve it. No one understands why. Sunscreens. There's over a dozen sunscreens that have been on the market in Europe for more than 10 years. And we have 1 American an hour dying of melanoma, and FDA is not approving these sunscreens. So there's just so many things that are still happening that we have to challenge and make better.
And you did that in this book, Innovation Breakdown.